King Charles makes a monumental mistake.
Prince of England.
This was a capitulation. A total unconditional capitulation.
Now you're allowing history to repeat itself. You have clearly learned nothing.
They have been played.
Prince Harry was like the cat who got the cream on this awful new podcast with Joe Marler. Completely shamed and exposed as a liar by a top British judge, who he then accused of being part of some type of conspiracy, meaning that even the establishment Times newspaper is calling for him to be stripped of his role as a counsellor of state. No details will be leaked about the private family gathering, and no photos will be released. Time will tell. Okay, time will tell, because we don't believe a word you say. after the last 6 years, to be honest. But trust me, stuff is going to be leaked from this meeting. It might just not come until the documentary next year.
Calls for privacy had been one of Harry and Meghan's biggest messages for years, and this time the palace appeared to honour that request completely. Cameras were kept away, vehicles stayed out of sight, and the meeting remained hidden behind the gates of Highgrove. Buckingham Palace did not release a single official photograph or provide any detailed account of what happened. Yet only 3 days after that highly private royal reunion, Harry was back in the spotlight, smiling behind a microphone, introducing himself as a Prince of England, and openly talking during a public podcast appearance. That immediately sparked a fresh debate. What exactly was meant to stay private? Was it the meeting with King Charles itself? Or simply the parts that could not yet be shared publicly? To be fair, Harry did not reveal the actual conversations inside Highgrove. He did not disclose what Charles said, what Queen Camilla said, or how Archie and Lilibet...
Occupation.
Full-time dad. British Army veteran. Prince of England. Duke. But for today, I don't know. What do you want? Duke.
Prince Harry has just admitted what we all have thought for several years now, that the gentleman is unemployed. He has no apparent job, a very different spin on his and Meghan Markle's relationship and their future business prospects. And I'm sure puts a lot of pressure on his wife because the dude apparently can't bring in any money. Number one, he gives himself is a full-time dad, which is a bit of a misnomer as him and his wife have nannies, and Harry travels quite a bit without his family. So how can you be a full-time dad if you're not actually full-time at home? You can't do those things. But saying he's a full-time dad implies that the parenting role fully falls on him.
Responded during the visit? That distinction is important and should not be ignored. Even so, the royal identity seemed to return almost overnight. The royal titles were front and center again. The Prince label made another public appearance. The easygoing public image also came right back, making many people wonder whether anything had really changed. The timing was difficult for many observers to overlook. Just 3 days after the reunion, following months of setbacks and intense headlines, the podcast aired. Harry comfortably referred to himself as both a Prince of England and a Duke, creating the impression that the week had ended on a positive note despite all the surrounding controversy. But that appearance also raised another question Harry may not have expected. When asked about his occupation, he did not mention running a company or holding a traditional executive role. He did not describe himself as a producer, author, media entrepreneur, or corporate executive.
I mean, let's be honest, Brand Sussex is dead. Everything they touch is a disaster. They've got the political, well, I was going to say the social awareness of two of the most tone-deaf people in the world, but at least he's ticked a box, Charles.
And by the way, if anyone thinks that this man is the future of the British royal family, as he goes from his meeting with the king to doing goat yoga and making crap jokes and boasting about the fact that he still thinks he's the Duke of Sussex on an awful new podcast. If anyone thinks that is the future...
But Meghan, it's achieved what she wants. It's once again re-established and maybe not been seen, but we read the news story, that they're still part of the royal family. And that, I think, is what people find...
Oh, she didn't want to be part of the royal family.
Yeah.
She called them racists and everything else.
But Brand Sussex is entirely dependent on some sort of association. Hence the reason why when you see all her packaging for her as ever, all I can hope is that the jam, they had some proper jam served at the tea from Highgrove rather than the slop that Meghan calls strawberry spread.
Instead, he introduced himself as a full-time dad, a veteran, a prince, and a duke. Those are meaningful roles and responsibilities, but many listeners noticed that none of them clearly described a conventional profession. Critics quickly focused on that response, arguing that Harry may have unintentionally suggested he no longer has a traditional full-time career. Others saw it differently, saying his answer reflected personal identity rather than employment. Either way, the discussion spread rapidly across social media and royal commentary. None of that takes away from the reality that raising children is demanding work. Few people would argue otherwise. However, Harry and Meghan also maintain an expensive lifestyle that includes a large California estate, personal security, travel.
20 cars went into the Gloucester home of the King and Queen, Highgrove House, for some function to do with some organisation. And hidden within those 20 cars was, indeed, Harry, Meghan, Prince Archie. Is he Prince Archie? I have no idea. Archie and Lilibet.
By doing that, Harry has just completely undermined the argument that he has spent months making that the country is too unsafe for his family.
Where people have not seen them because they use the private VIP entrance and exits at the airport. These two are capable of coming over here in privacy if they want to.
King Charles makes a monumental mistake by giving Prince Harry the audience with Meghan, Archie, and Lily that they have been so desperate for, but not all is as it seems.
Employees, legal expenses, and ongoing business ventures that require substantial financial support. Naturally, that led many people to ask who is now driving the family's commercial success. Has Meghan become the Sussex household's primary earner? Meghan continues to expand her business ambitions through As Ever, along with lifestyle products, media projects, entertainment partnerships, and ongoing efforts to build a lasting commercial brand beyond royal life. As those ventures continue to develop, questions about how the Sussexes balance public identity with private business are likely to remain part of the conversation for quite some time. Much of Harry's public life today revolves around Invictus, veterans' causes, charity work, and selected public appearances rather than a traditional career path. Those efforts have earned respect from many supporters, but charitable work is not automatically a salaried position, and holding a royal title is not the same as having a conventional profession. With Harry describing himself as a full-time dad,
Well, Meghan maybe didn't get everything, but I'm going to be honest with you, Brittany, I still have massive concerns because remember, this is a long-term project that Harry is working towards, and this is the one-year countdown to Invictus. And what Harry wants and what Harry believes he has now secured, I hope and pray it doesn't happen, is that King Charles shows up in 1 year's time and probably shows up with Meghan and the two children too, and that's when the photo comes. So sure, Meghan didn't get it this time, but they are on the road there.
While Meghan continues expanding commercial ventures, many observers believe the balance within their partnership now looks noticeably different. That has fueled even more discussion. Did Harry leave the one institution that had always given him a clearly defined place? Did he genuinely believe Hollywood could fully replace the role he once held within the monarchy? Did he expect documentaries, best-selling books, speaking engagements, and streaming agreements to become a long-term foundation for his future career? Now, more than 6 years after stepping away from official royal duties, another question continues to surface. Why does the title that attracts the most public attention remain the very one he once chose to leave behind? Prince. That single word helps explain why this reunion carries significance far beyond a simple family visit over tea. Harry and Meghan said they wanted independence. They created a new life in California. They spoke about building a future centered on freedom, privacy, and greater control over their own decisions. Yet the biggest headline surrounding them this year was not the launch of As Ever, a major Hollywood success, or the announcement of a worldwide business project. Instead, it became their return to see the king. According to multiple reports, Meghan's arrival was handled with remarkable discretion. Rather than arriving through the front entrance in full public view, an elaborate plan was reportedly put in place to bring Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet into Highgrove without attracting attention. Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet travelled to Britain from a European holiday, while Harry was already carrying out his scheduled public appearances. A private Chanel luncheon taking place at Highgrove reportedly created steady traffic entering the estate. That unexpected flow of vehicles allowed the Sussex vehicle to blend naturally into a line of around 20 cars passing through the gates, making the arrival far less noticeable than it otherwise might have been. Think about how unusual that was. For several days, British reporters closely followed Harry's every public move. His court proceedings, Invictus appearances, accommodation dispute, and travel schedule all received significant media attention from one day to the next. Meanwhile, Meghan and the children reportedly crossed the country with almost no public visibility at all. There were no airport photographs, no widely seen public arrival, no walk outside Highgrove, and no confirmed images showing Meghan entering or leaving the estate. Many commentators believe that level of privacy did not happen by chance. It appeared to be part of a carefully coordinated plan from the very beginning. Following his Invictus engagement, Harry reportedly travelled from Birmingham to Highgrove, where Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet had already been included in the private arrangements. By the time he arrived, the reunion was reportedly already quietly taking shape behind the estate's closed gates, well away from public attention. According to multiple reports, King Charles and Queen Camilla spent more than an hour with Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet during the private gathering at Highgrove. It marked the first time in 4 years that Charles had reportedly seen Archie and Lilibet in person. At its heart, the meeting carried a deeply personal purpose that should not be overlooked. A grandfather wanted to spend time with his grandchildren, and a father wanted to see his son. At the same time, Charles is not only a father and grandfather, he is also the king. While he continues receiving treatment, every private family decision carries public consequences. Every gesture can become a headline, and every moment can be interpreted as a statement about the future of the monarchy. That is why the palace appeared to manage every detail it could. There was no Buckingham Palace photograph, no balcony appearance, no official family portrait, no public embrace, no announcement that Harry would return to royal duties, no new role for Meghan, and no indication of any renewed half-in, half-out arrangement. The Sussexes were granted a meeting, but they were not given a formal royal restoration. Many commentators believe that distinction was central to Charles's approach. Had he refused to meet Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet, critics could have argued that the king turned away his own family. By agreeing to the reunion, Charles removed that line of criticism. At the same time, he avoided releasing a smiling public photograph that could have been interpreted as complete reconciliation. Such an image might have been viewed by many as a sign that past interviews, documentaries, and memoirs were fully behind them. Charles chose not to create that impression. Instead, he offered enough to allow a private family reunion, while stopping short of giving a public endorsement. Some royal commentators believe Harry and Meghan received the personal meeting they wanted, but not the visible royal moment that could have symbolised a full return. They crossed the gates of Highgrove, yet the public never saw them standing beside the king. Even so, the story may not be over. The palace can manage official photographs, locations, and public statements, but it cannot permanently control what Harry and Meghan may choose to say about the meeting in the future. The biggest question may not be what happened during the Highgrove meeting, but what could eventually be said about it afterward. What if a future interview includes one carefully chosen detail? What if someone close to the situation later describes King Charles's emotions? What if a documentary eventually uses the journey, the extraordinary secrecy, or the children's British heritage as part of a much larger narrative? For now, the gathering remains private, but will it still be treated that way a year from now? Reports also claimed that the Sussex family visited Althorp, the Spencer family estate closely connected to Princess Diana. That visit immediately caught the attention of royal commentators and sparked another wave of speculation. Some observers have questioned whether the Althorp visit could become part of future material connected to the 30th anniversary of Diana's passing. Although no official documentary, project or production has been confirmed. Even so, many believe that possibility explains why the palace is likely to pay close attention to future interviews, media appearances, documentaries, and publicity campaigns involving the Sussexes. That also raises another important question. Can Harry experience a meaningful private family reunion without later allowing the emotional impact to become part of a public story? Can Meghan accept renewed access to the royal family if it comes without a photograph or any official endorsement? Can the reunion simply remain a family reunion instead of becoming another chapter in a wider media narrative? Many people believe the first clue has already appeared. Harry's latest interview did not reveal confidential details from Highgrove, but it quickly placed his royal identity back at the centre of a public discussion. When introducing himself, he referred to himself as a Prince of England and a Duke. For critics and supporters alike, it was another reminder that the man who stepped away from royal duties still publicly identifies with royal titles when explaining who he is. Sources said to be close to Harry reportedly described him as happy, energized, and uplifted after the family gathering. That reaction is understandable. Earlier in the week, attention had focused on his court defeat, the ongoing accommodation dispute, and Meghan's absence from public appearances. Prince William also remained away from the meeting. Then Harry arrived at Highgrove and finally had the family reunion he had reportedly hoped for. Some believed that meant Harry had achieved a significant victory, but others argued that the real challenge only began afterward. Rebuilding trust takes more than one meeting. Reconciliation often requires accountability. A genuine royal comeback would likely involve an official role, and no such role has been publicly confirmed. What has been confirmed is far more limited: a private family visit, no official photograph, and almost no public details about what was actually discussed behind closed doors. So why do some commentators still argue that Harry and Meghan achieved exactly what they wanted? Their view is that, even without a single photograph, the reunion placed the Sussexes back alongside the monarchy in the global conversation. For several days, headlines shifted away from business ventures, lifestyle products, entertainment projects, and commercial questions. Instead, the world's attention returned to one subject above all else: Meghan inside Highgrove with the King. Once again, it was the royal connection that captured worldwide attention. That reality sits at the centre of the ongoing debate surrounding Brand Sussex. One commentator even declared that Brand Sussex is dead. Yet that claim immediately raises another question. If the brand had truly lost its influence, how did one private family meeting generate so many headlines across the world? Many observers believe the real issue may be even more complicated. Rather than disappearing, Brand Sussex appears to struggle when separated from the royal family, yet quickly returns to the centre of public discussion whenever there is renewed royal contact. That naturally leads to more questions about the independence project they set out to build. What does that suggest about the California chapter of their lives? What does it say about Meghan's long-term commercial strategy if renewed royal connections continue to attract the fastest and largest wave of global attention? Those questions continue to fuel debate among royal commentators and media analysts alike. In the short term, Harry and Meghan may have gained exactly what they needed most: renewed relevance. At the same time, Charles may also have achieved his own goal by spending private time with his son and grandchildren without signalling any official royal comeback. From that perspective, each side can point to something positive from the meeting. However, there remains one important difference. Only one side controls the institution, the royal residences, the official imagery, and the long-term direction of the monarchy. Most commentators agree that future does not revolve around Harry, regardless of how much public attention the reunion generated. Prince William did not reportedly meet Harry during the visit. While William has made no public statement, several royal commentators have said he understands why Charles chose to see his son and grandchildren. At the same time, those same reports suggest William has no current intention of rebuilding his own relationship with Harry. According to those commentators, William's position is shaped by long-standing issues of trust, past public disclosures, and what he sees as his responsibility to protect the monarchy's future. Whether people agree with that view or not, it remains a frequent topic in discussions surrounding the royal family. Could Charles choose forgiveness as a father while William takes a different approach as the future king? Many believe that is entirely possible, because those are two very different relationships with very different responsibilities. Charles may decide to leave the family door open in private, while William could still maintain a more cautious position regarding official royal matters. That is why many analysts believe it is far too early to describe this meeting as a complete restoration for the Sussexes. Harry did not meet publicly with William. Meghan did not attend an official royal engagement. Archie and Lilibet were not introduced during any public appearance, and the palace released nothing that suggested an official return. If anything, many commentators continue to say that a public reconciliation between Harry and William still appears to be a distant possibility rather than an immediate reality. No matter what Harry chooses to call himself publicly, one reality continues to shape the discussion. He can describe himself as a prince. He can use his title as a duke. He can return to Britain for Invictus events and speak positively about the country where he grew up. Yet the royal figure expected to guide the monarchy into its next chapter has shown no public sign of moving closer to him. That leaves one major question hanging over everything that followed the Highgrove reunion. Did King Charles make a carefully calculated decision, or did he take a significant risk? Many believe he may have eased one of the Sussexes' strongest criticisms simply by welcoming his grandchildren. Others argue he wisely avoided releasing the kind of photograph that could have been interpreted around the world as a symbol of complete reconciliation. Some even see it as proof that compassion and caution can exist at the same time. But another possibility remains. By reopening a private channel, Charles may also have created new expectations that Harry and Meghan could revisit in the future. Harry is expected to return to Britain for the Well Child Awards in September, and several reports have suggested another private family meeting has not been ruled out. If that happens, new questions will immediately follow. Does one quiet reunion become the beginning of a regular pattern? Will the palace face renewed speculation every time Harry returns to Britain for an official event? And what about Meghan? Could she travel to Britain again? Might Archie and Lilibet eventually attend future Invictus-related events in a public setting? Could Charles decide to appear at one of those occasions? Those possibilities have already become part of the wider conversation among royal commentators, even though none of them have been officially confirmed. That is why many believe the reunion itself was only the beginning. The real story is what happens afterward. Will Harry continue keeping the details of the meeting private if media pressure grows stronger? Will Meghan avoid using renewed royal connections to strengthen her public profile? Could unnamed sources eventually begin describing the atmosphere inside the room, the conversations that took place, or the king's emotions? Might a future documentary or interview reference the visit without ever showing the gathering itself? And if even a single private detail eventually becomes public, would the palace conclude that this entire approach failed? That is why many commentators describe the Highgrove gathering as a test rather than a final resolution. It was never a coronation, a formal comeback, or an official restoration. It was a test. Charles was testing whether he could reconnect with his family while still protecting the institution. Harry was testing whether he could return to Britain without allowing another family visit to become a public conflict. Meghan was testing whether she could quietly enter the country and leave without a single official photograph or public royal moment. The palace was also testing whether private access could remain completely separate from official acceptance. So far, no public photograph has emerged. No confirmed private conversations have been disclosed. The Sussexes were not given new royal responsibilities or an official role. From that perspective, many believe Charles maintained the boundaries he wanted to protect. At the same time, Harry's podcast appearance highlighted something different. It suggested that he still feels a strong personal connection to his royal title, to Britain, and to the identity that has followed him throughout his life. He may now live in California, but when someone asks who he is and what he does, one of the first identities he reaches for is still Prince of England, a choice that continues to spark debate far beyond the meeting itself. Following what many described as one of the toughest weeks of his post-royal life, Harry suddenly appeared far more upbeat and confident than many people expected. That dramatic shift immediately caught attention. What changed between the courtroom defeat and the relaxed podcast appearance just a few days later? Why did Harry appear discouraged one moment then energized the next? Was it simply the relief of finally seeing his father again? Or was there something more behind that change? Did knowing that Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet had reportedly arrived at Highgrove without attracting media attention give him peace of mind? Did the reunion convince Harry that an important family bridge had finally been rebuilt? Or did he believe that one private meeting had reopened a royal connection he and Meghan have spent years trying to maintain despite stepping away from royal duties? Harry may describe himself as a full-time father, but his latest interview reminded many people that the royal identity continues to follow him wherever he goes. He has built a new life in California, yet the titles connected to his past still generate the biggest headlines. That remains one of the biggest contradictions surrounding the Sussex story. Many observers believe the pressure on Harry and Meghan is now greater than ever. Harry appears to value family, purpose, his connection to Britain, and the identity he grew up with. Meghan continues pursuing business ventures, media projects, and a global public profile. Can those futures remain aligned? Or did the Highgrove reunion reveal that Harry still feels emotionally drawn toward the royal world he left behind? The Sussexes reportedly entered Highgrove quietly among other vehicles and left without any official photograph or public appearance. Soon afterward, Harry appeared on a podcast where he once again referred to himself as both a prince and a duke. That does not prove reconciliation, but it does show that the royal connection remains central to how he presents himself publicly. Many royal commentators believe King Charles struck a careful balance. He allowed the family reunion while stopping short of any public royal endorsement. Harry and Meghan gained enormous attention, but they did not receive the official image many had expected. Prince William also remained entirely separate from the reported reunion. Now the focus turns to what happens next. Every future interview, documentary, and public appearance will likely be examined for clues about what really changed behind the gates of Highgrove. If the meeting stays private, that will speak for itself. But if new details emerge, many will question whether the palace's cautious strategy truly worked. So what do you think? Did King Charles outsmart Harry and Meghan by allowing a private meeting while refusing a public royal image? Or did reopening that door create a much bigger risk? Do you think Harry is genuinely content with his new life? Or did his podcast appearance reveal that his royal identity still plays a much larger role than many expected? And can Brand Sussex continue to thrive without another visible connection to the monarchy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next royal update.